Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here with Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about how barbells are really the foundation of our training. And if I'm going to be honest, people could get by with nothing but barbells and they would be just fine. In other words, I'll explain kind of why they're our foundational list, but I also want to be clear that if you had access to only barbell exercises, and I'm not saying that we do, I'm not saying that we should, but as long as you had appropriate racks and benches and everything, you could build your entire body top to bottom. There wouldn't be a single muscle group that you couldn't 100% stimulate in the body with just barbells. So we do need to be clear on that. When we say, well, we have different tools in the toolbox, I don't disagree with that. And I think we do have a lot of tools in the toolbox and we have access to a lot of different amazing tools. But ultimately, most of those tools are really unnecessary with the existence of the barbell. It kind of creates a situation where we can do whatever we want. It's funny because people will say, well, I can't feel that. It's like it's irrelevant what you feel. Just learn to perform the exercises. Like anyone with good body awareness can figure out very, very quickly how to work every muscle in their body with a barbell. A basic anatomy, basic body awareness. It really can be done. And it's not an issue of where you feel. It's that you're probably just not performing the exercise correctly or where you feel doesn't matter. And I think people forget that. That's been found in the labs too. That really where you feel isn't always indicative of what's being stimulated. And I think that really throws a lot of people off. Like it's not necessarily true. So over to the point, barbell should be the foundation of our training. It should be. And when you look at all these basic barbell movements, and not just the ones I'm doing some of these classic lifts, you start looking into even some of the various Olympic style variations, power cleans, power snatches. This has always been the foundation of training, and athletes have known this forever. And you go into various athletic circles in the past, and plenty of your high-level athletes in every sport, from boxing to football to rugby, sprinters, they all lived on barbell movements. Okay, and this has been all through the Olympics and stuff too, historically. The people what they found even at certain points, when you went and looked at when the Russians or the Chinese or whatever winning all these Olympics, you go look at their gyms, they were all barbells. Like, even though they had the funding, you didn't see a lot of the machines and other stuff. It was barbells, barbells, barbells for building athletes. And I think that we need to understand that with these big structural movements. So when we talk about barbell exercises, squats, deadlifts, overhead presses, benches, rows, things like this, right? And then we could go a lot further. We can go a lot further from that. But in that context, when you realize that everything is being worked, you understand of what this brings to athleticism. Okay. And I really hate, though, when people use it like, well, purely for bodybuilding purposes, but no one is doing that, right? Like, that is such an insane argument, because almost no one out here who is coaching or putting out information, if your entire audience was high-level competitive bodybuilders, you would be broke. You would have no audience. Okay? And if you're going to talk high-level competitive bodybuilders, then you have to be talking drugs more than the training, because drugs matter more than the training does as far as the individual nuances of the trainings in that context. You should really just be running a drug channel, if that's your target audience. You don't even need to be really discussing the lifting, because a million styles have put people on the Olympia platform. Millions of completely diverse, unrelated training styles, which tells you that it's just not that important. People don't want to hear that. But, they'll say for bodybuilding, but no one's doing that. We all care about our fitness, right? Other than a few really young guys starting out, and they're going to care. Everyone does care about their overall athleticism and health and fitness. And so what I would say, you're going to be training anyways. You're going to be training anyways. You might as well get all the benefits. And that's the point that I make. People will say, well, but we should all have multiple goals. And I promote well-rounded fitness here. Like I run several days a week, pretty serious, right? So I'm not just in here lifting. I do a lot of cardio and conditioning. It gets an equal dedication of my time. It's like, yeah, you guys see me repping 315 on the bench, doing rep work of 500 on the squat. As an old man, I'm almost 50, but I run. So I'm over here promoting well-rounded fitness, so I don't care about these bodybuilding arguments. And most of you shouldn't either, because most people are out here training for diversity of goals. And I think they need to remember that. Everyone who's training who is not competing in bodybuilding, or they're not a 19-year-old kid trying to just get new into that, everyone has multiple goals. They want to be fit. They want to feel good. People want to look good, right? But most people who are even training to look good are not trying to look like a high-level bodybuilder. That's not their end goal. Okay? So that's the thing. And even people say, well, maybe the Hollywood, but all those actors are all on barbells and bodyweight movements. Go look at any of the training of all these people when they put it out for the movie roles. They're doing heavy squats and deadlifts and bench presses and pull-ups, and right, every single time. Every single time when you go look at what their trainers have them do. Because those trainers who they're getting them ready for $1 million role, they know what actually works. They're having to hire good trainers. That's what they have them do. But let's get over to it. This should be our foundation. Why? Because we work the most muscles. Big barbell movements work the most muscles for every single set and every rep that you do. You get a lot done. I mean, let's before we even get into the upper body stuff, the average person, if they just came in and did squats and deadlifts, you know how much muscle they would add to their body? You know how much their fitness would improve, their bone density, their health? Those two exercises alone in terms, and I'm not saying to give you the best arms, because the arms are a really, 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 really tiny muscle. I don't think people understand how little muscle's in their arms relative to the rest of their body. It's not even 5% of your muscle tissue. So, yeah, you would build tremendous amounts of muscle. Your fitness would improve, right? All your health markers would improve. Your bone density, all the structures of your body, your joints, your tendons, everything would improve. Okay, right? It's before we even get into bench press, and I push a lot of benching, but you can make a case for rowing and clean and overhead press, so you throw those in, or even get over to the bench. The average person would get tremendous, absolutely tremendous, phenomenal benefits. Like, these are our foundational exercises. You start throwing some sort of press in, like a bench press, rows, No, I don't expect the average person to row what I'm rowing there. I don't think people realize it's not just one plate on the bar. But even then, these are our foundation. And it's not like you can't do some isolation here. I'm doing strict curls with the barbell. It's not like you can't train your biceps with a barbell, right? But I digress. Barbells. This is where our biggest structural movements, all of our exercises that load our entire trunk. And people say, well, I don't want my back load. Well, you should. All right, we need to be clear on that. Rowing, overhead pressing, squats, deadlifts. These movements that load your body have the most benefits. You need those things to be strong. You need your trunk muscles to be strong, your abdominals, your obliques, your erectors. Okay? How about your hips, your glutes? Like, you need these muscles developed if you want to be athletic, if you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy, if you want to have all these benefits of, again, staving off osteoporosis, surviving accidents. Right? Strong people are harder to kill. You need these structural movements. And then when it comes over to, we start talking fitness and athleticism, these are the movements that are going to carry over. And people need to be clear. It's not like you are gaining less muscle because you do them. And I think that point has to be made. They're like, well, but I'll come over here. But it's like that machine, or the way you're isolating on that smaller movement, doesn't build more muscle. It's not like you're losing muscle potential by doing bigger exercises. There's no evidence at all that they don't produce just as much muscle, just spread more through the body. The problem is they're hard. That's the problem. They're hard. They take a lot of effort. A machine doesn't. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.